Hello, everybody, it's Christina, and welcome back to my library. This is my November TBR for 2021. I have a lot of really good, epic fantasies that I'm really wanting to read this month. I do want to say I am in a different spot today. Normally, I record right in front of my shelves on my phone, but I was finally able to fix my webcam, so I'm trying to give it a try on my computer instead of using my phone. See how it goes. Also, I have a second shelf up now. I finally built it. It's a little empty, mainly because I have a few YA series that I've decided I'm going to sell at my next library sale. So I have some open space, and I'll probably buy some more stuff at the next library sale. But let's get started on the list. I have got a pretty scary looking pile of books over here, some of which are very large books. Let's start things off with a book that I've really been wanting to reread for a very long time now, and I think I mentioned it in my fall tag, the Finally Fall book tag. Pretty sure I mentioned it there, but it is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I haven't read The Hobbit probably since high school, and I really love the whole Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, the whole series. I love it. I would love to read this again. I've kind of been in the mood. I've been wanting to read this for a while. It feels like November is a good time for me to start getting back into fantasy again. So I figured, why not start things off with The Hobbit? And I mean, if you don't know, the story is about Bilbo Baggins. He's on the search for a ring. And he joins some dwarves. He meets a wizard. It's a good time. Next up, I'm going to follow that up with The Lord of the Rings. Now, my poor beaten up copy of The Lord of the Rings has seen a lot. I've had this particular book. The Hobbit is fairly new. I repurchased it. This particular book I've had since high school. It's been through a lot. It's fraying. It's a little wet because I kind of dropped it in the bathtub once. It's not wet anymore. That was a long time ago, but you know what I mean. It's got water damage and stuff. It's still usable. This, by the way, is one hecking chunker of a book, and it is actually the whole trilogy in one book. I actually ended up reading The Lord of the Rings in high school. It was actually required reading. My high school English teacher for senior year was incredible, and he had us read this, and I will always just remember him fondly for letting me find my love of this book. I had actually already read it once before, and then I had to reread it for senior year of high school, so that was an easy A+ for me. I did great in that class. But yeah, I want to reread it because I haven't read it since then, and I would really like to check it out again. It's been such a long time. It's a well-loved series of mine. I even used to play Lord of the Rings Online, which is an MMO RPG set in the Lord of the Rings universe. I'm really looking forward to this one. I really love this series so much, and I'm excited to get back into it. Next up is one of two books on my list that are not considered high fantasy books, but this is a series I've been needing to finish for a very long time. I read the first two, absolutely loved them. It's also, I believe, the only YA on my list. It's not your typical YA, for somebody like me who has been out of my teen years for a very long time now. This one I can still read and not have too much of an issue with the fact that I'm, easily 20 years older than some of the characters in the book. That one is The Toll by Neil Shusterman. This is the third book in the Arc of the Scythe series. I read the first two, I want to say 2 years ago at this point. No, maybe I read Thunderhead last year, but it's been a while. However, I absolutely love this series. I flew through the first two books, and I think I'm going to probably do the same thing with this one. It is much thicker than the other two, but I am super excited about this one to finally finish it. If you don't know, this series is about a kind of near future dystopian setting of the world where people or humanity has discovered how to make everyone not die. They had to bring on these people called scythes that would go and kill people. That was their job. They would go and there would be a lottery to figure out who was going to die next, and then they would go and carry out their goal of whoever it is that they were going to kill. I loved the setting of the first two books. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And like I said, it's not your typical YA. So if you're a little hesitant because it is a YA, I will say that I really do like this one, and I can't say that about a lot of YA anymore because I just don't relate to YA, but this one's a good one, and I really can't wait to see where it ends. Next up is a book that I don't actually have the physical copy of yet, and it's also the other one that is not an epic high fantasy novel. It is still fantasy, it's urban fantasy, but I don't have my copy of it yet, and that is Small Favor by Jim Butcher, and that is the 10th book of the Dresden Files series. That is a very much loved series of mine. I absolutely love it, and I'm really excited to see where it takes off. I loved actually everything from book 3 to book 9, which I've read at this point, I've given 5 stars to. So this book was on my 5-star TBR predictions. I'm super excited to see where it goes next. And I don't have a copy of it yet, but I did put an order in at my local bookstore. So I'm going to be getting it hopefully in the next week or two. So super excited about that. Can't say too much about it because like I said, it's the 10th book in a series. But if you really like urban fantasy, I highly recommend this series. I will say that Harry Dresden can be a little annoying at times, especially in the first 3 books, but he does get better. And the story, it gets so good. There's like this underlying mystery. I really, really like it. Next up is another high fantasy novel that I'm not going to lie, I'm a little worried about this one. I don't think it was super well received, at least not among the booktubers that I follow. So I'm a little worried. I was okay with the first book. I think I gave it 4 stars. But that is The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. I just really want to finish this so I can say that I'm done with the series. If I end up not liking it, I'll probably DNF it. I know a lot of people didn't love this one. I guess they were just disappointed. They loved the first book, and I liked the first book too. I thought it was great. But a lot of people do not like this one. So I'm a little nervous about it, especially because it's so thick. It's, how many pages is it's over 1,000 pages. So this one will be a DNF if I don't get into it. Obviously, Patrick Rothfuss is supposed to be coming out with another one in this series, but I hear that it's taking a while, and I think that's part of the other reason people don't love this one, because they know they have to wait. But anyway, I'm in a fantasy mood. I want to try this one. We'll see how it goes. And finally, the last book on my TBR, and I should mention this seems like a slightly short TBR list. You have to bear in mind, The Wise Man's Fear is over 1,000 pages long, and I plan on reading the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is also very long. So that's, let me see, I'm just going to count real quick. We have The Hobbit, 1, 2, 3 of the trilogy, Wise Man's Fear, Small Favor, The Toll, and Eye of the World, which is 8. I'm really excited for this one. I've been hearing so many good things. I know a lot of people are very excited to read this one right now because the show is coming out, and that's, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of why I'm reading it right now too. I don't plan on watching the show until I've read a good chunk of this series. I think I heard that the first 2 books are in the show, so I want to at least do that. And I guess if I end up DNFing Wise Man's Fear, maybe I'll pick up The Great Hunt, which is the next book in the series, which I do have behind me. But for now, I am going to give this one a shot. This is actually like, this is the one, I mean, aside from Lord of the Rings, which I'm also very excited to read, this is the one that I'm probably also the most excited to read because I've just heard so many good things. And I heard a booktuber describe it the other day because they've been reading it, and it kind of sounds a little like Dragon Age, the video game, which I love. I loved the Dragon Age series, and I'm kind of curious to see if upon reading it, my thoughts still go along with that it does sound like the Dragon Age series. I'm pretty sure, I could be misremembering what I heard about this, but it sounded very Dragon Age-y to me, so I'm super excited to check this one out. I don't know which one I'm going to read first. Honestly, I'm excited to read all of these, so we'll have to see, but I definitely want to read this one as well. So yeah, this is a very ambitious November high fantasy TBR, but I am super excited for it. Fantasy, especially like high epic fantasy, is probably one of my all-time favorite genres to read. So I'm super excited to read all of these books. What do you plan on reading in October? Let me know in the comments down below. You can also follow me on all of my social medias. I have them linked down in the description box below as well. You could become a Fan House sub, which is an optional $3 a month by clicking the Fan House link down in the description box. And you can become a channel member, which is an optional $1.99 or $4.99 a month by clicking the join button down below. Those are always optional, but they do help out the channel. And I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye!